gloomy, rainy day. Good day to get some work done. So, some of you guys might recognize this car if you follow me on Instagram. This is my 2006 Ford Crown Vic. And it's not an ordinary Crown Vic. It's got some stuff done to it. It's got a GM 4.8 liter in it, commonly known as a LS swap, not necessarily an actual LS engine, you know, iron block deal out of a truck. And it's got a little whirly boy on there. VS Racing 7875, can't really see that. We'll talk about that later. But today we're putting the transmission back in it. So I had this transmission built when I did this swap, and Torrington bearing let go after a couple hundred miles and took out the planetary gear set in this thing. It was making a bunch of noise. So finally got it back after being down for the better half of the year, unfortunately. Got this new Dynamic Motorsports converter in there. That thing's ready to go. I had that same converter in there before, but they just loosened it up a little bit, made sure everything was good to go after the trans failure. So, yeah, I'm excited to get this thing back up and moving. Got some other projects that I need to get on this lift. Not sure if you'll be able to see it out here or not, but this is a 2010 Escalade. That's a frequent flyer of the Rich Rules garage. Needs a bunch of work, rack and pinion, all sorts of stuff, suspension messages, blah, blah, blah. If any of you guys need some assistance working on your cars or anything, just give me a shout. I do a fair amount of that. I take a lot of pride in my work, so if I can help you guys out, just let me know. But for now, we're going to get this trans back in this thing and hopefully get this fired up today. Like I said, gloomy day, not a lot going on. Good day to put this back in and get it off the list and up and running. And I will go over the fine details of this delightful automobile once we get the trans in. Just kind of hard to do that when it's 8 foot up in the air. Can't really show you guys a ton of stuff on it. But it's pretty cool. I like it. I liked it until the trans went out. Then it wasn't too fun, but we're on our way to getting it back on the road. Before we time-lapse this trans going back in, just a quick overview. Like I said, it's got a Dynamic Motorsports converter in it. Estimated stall speed, 3,500. I don't know. They loosened it up a little bit from what it was before. Had a little bit of an issue making boost on the TRANSBRAKE, which is the next thing. It's got an ATI TRANSBRAKE in it, billet dog. Alto and Borg-Warner clutches, 34 element sprag. I mean, not a super fancy transmission, but I don't know. I've never had this on the dyno. We're in the preliminary stages of getting it tuned and all that happy stuff when the trans let go. So it was up to like, I think 14, 15 pounds of boost. And we didn't really get to lean on it much more. So excited to get this back in and get that TRANSBRAKE working a little bit better, making some more boost hopefully. If not, I've got another solution for that in the form of nitrous, but we'll talk about that later. So let's get to the time lapse, get this thing bolted in, and yeah, I'll show you a little bit more once it's up there. Okay, our bell housing bolts are in. Can't really see. Let me see if I can grab a light. Oh, yep. Bell housing bolts are in. That's about all I got done. Got to hook up my trans cooler lines. On this thing, we're running just 2-6 lines up to, I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not. Kind of. Pretty small trans cooler. I might need to upgrade that in the future. But for now, it was good. When we had the trans apart, it didn't look like there was any heat-related issues going on, so that's good. Maybe it'll be okay. Who knows? So I'll get those lines hooked up. Already blew them out. And we got to up there. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but focus. There's a bracket to hold the dipstick tube. That's going to be a pain to get in. I'm going to try and probably do that before anything's in my way. And then cross member, drive shaft, shift cable. We're looking pretty good. On track to have this thing running today. Well, the drive shaft is in. Everything's all buttoned up underneath. Got the exhaust hooked up. Everything went in pretty smooth with the exception of that dipstick mount that I was talking about. Can't really see it. That took about an hour and a half to do. Wasn't that fun. But for the most part, everything on this car is very, very serviceable. That's one thing I really liked about building this thing, is pretty much up to you on how easy or hard you make it to work on. So tons of room under here. A lot of this stuff just fits like factory. We used the factory cross member for the trans, just had to modify it a little bit for the mount. That all worked really well. Finding information on LS swaps for these was a little bit more difficult than I anticipated on, but it went together pretty easy. Didn't need a ton of help. We'll go to the top now and get this thing fired up. Already put some fluid in it. Just had to reposition the exhaust a little bit. It was rubbing on the frame. You can see daylight there now, so we're in good shape. We'll head up top, take a look at that, and fire it up. Well, there it is. So quick overview on this thing. 4.8 liter GM small block, Gen 3. Came out of a pickup truck, iron block. Stock heads, small cam, 218 duration on it. VS Racing 7875, 1.25 AR. Exhaust housing. It's on a Holley Terminator X. We've got a Holley Terminator, Holley Pro Dash. Can't really see it that good. We'll get it out in the light and take a look at that. B&M shifter, Turbo 400 obviously. Hooker hot side. Pretty standard setup, you know, nothing too crazy. With that small cam, doesn't have a ton of overlap in it. Idles like stock, and you guys kind of saw the exhaust, but 4-inch downpipe. Next down to 3-inch through the cross member, and then it goes into a factory Crown Vic 2-inch dual exhaust. So very quiet, almost quieter than a stock Crown Vic, surprisingly. But we're going to fire this thing up. Got some transmission fluid in it. Going to have to get it topped off to the correct level, but hopefully it starts. It's been sitting for a long time. Had the battery disconnected, obviously, so should fire right up. Got some on the stick, so we're in good shape. We're going to lift it up, run it through the gears a little bit, and then check it again. Fired right up. It's a great tune by my buddy Matt Stanford. 47 degrees out here on E85. Fired right up, no problem. Good unit. Got forward and reverse gears, that's always a good thing. Now that the fluid's had a minute to cycle, we're going to check the fluid again, see where it's at. If it's good, we'll get it off this lift outside. It's in really good shape. Well, that's always a really good feeling when you get through a project like this, after having it sit for several months. You put it back together and it just works. So no trans leaks, knock on wood yet. It's ready to get pulled out. I think I'm probably going to do an oil change on it while we got it on the lift. And that'll be it. Yeah, we'll take a look at it once we get it outside. Go over it a little bit more. Just take a look at how bad it actually looks. It looks really bad. But it's what's under the hood that counts. So I'm going to do the oil change, and then we'll head outside. Oh man, to be back in the driver's seat of this thing again. What a great feeling. Yeah, I mean, it's comical how quiet this car is with the exhaust closer. I got an electronic cutout on it, so it's a little bit louder once that's opened up. Well, let's go for a little cruise and get some heat in the trans and come back and check the fluid on this thing. Sorry about the chime. I haven't figured out how to make that disappear yet. 1.2 was nice and clean. 2.3, super nice. So driving this reverse manual valve body 400 with the TRANSBRAKE, I didn't necessarily know there was a specific way to drive it prior to putting it in, so letting off the gas at certain times, not really the best deal. So if you guys have any tips for driving a reverse manual valve body 400 or do's and don'ts, definitely happy to listen. I'd rather not take the transmission out of this again, even though it's not that difficult. I would rather be doing other things. She's cruising down the road great. We're going to turn around and head back, check the fluid, and if that looked good, park for the day. That Holly Pro Dash, though, I mean, what a great unit. I might have gone for the 12-inch version had I known there had been this much space. Maybe later. Just to tease you guys, with the cutout open, it does get a fair amount louder. One of my favorite parts of this car. Well, this is it in all its glory. Yeah, it looks even worse outside, as you can imagine. Not a straight panel on it, and that's just what I like. But what I really like is how quiet this exhaust is. I mean, from back here, this sounds like a stock Crown Vic. I mean, you can tell not a ton of camshaft in it. It's a Livernois 1C cam. Sounds great. We'll just hit the cutout real quick, though, just to give you an idea. The cutout dumps up under here. Might be able to even see it right there. It's rattling a little bit, like the cutout problems. Yeah, definitely comes to life. Figure we test the TRANSBRAKE. About 3 pounds. Seems to come on better with this other converter, so that's always good. I had the rev limiter or the two-step set pretty low, just based on where the converter would come in with the last time round. So we can definitely play around with the tune a little bit and optimize that for sure. So looking forward to that. Well, that about does it for the Crown Vic today. Got a lot of other stuff planned for this thing. It's getting to be wintertime here in Michigan, so it's starting to cool down. Snow's coming. Not fun, so not going to be driving this a ton. I'd like to do a drag and drive event with this in 2023, so not sure which one yet, but I think it would be a lot of fun. It's got a trailer hitch on it, so it pretty much needs to happen. But thanks for your guys' support, and hope you enjoyed this video. And like I said, various other things coming up with this thing for the Holly setup, wiring that trans temp gauge, and man, what else do I got? I got to put a heater core in it because street car life, you know, need heat. Gain you a couple, 3 months here in Michigan driving your car by having heat in it. Just something I need, sorry. All right, see you later. Bye-bye.